Hi, guys, and welcome back to the On the Go podcast, where we dive deep into the real and raw journey of entrepreneurship. If you're new here, I'm Shisha, and today we're tackling a topic that so many entrepreneurs wrestle with: overcoming fear and imposter syndrome. Sound familiar? You're not alone. So grab a drink of your choice, settle in, and let's chat. Starting a business is exciting, but let's be real, it can also be terrifying. That little voice in your head that's whispering, who do you think you are to do this? Yep, that's imposter syndrome. And fear is that gut-wrenching doubt that makes you hesitate before every big step. But today, I want to share some truths, strategies, and personal experiences that will help you push through and step into your power as an entrepreneur. I remember when I first started my business, I was so excited, but also paralyzed with fear. I questioned everything. What if I fail? What if no one buys from me? What if people don't take me seriously? What if I'm not good enough? Sound familiar? Well, for me, the turning point was realizing that fear is actually a sign that I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. And that's where growth happens, which is what we want. One of the biggest lessons that I learned is that fear likes to pop its ugly head, especially when you're doing something new. And so it's important to remember that. Most times, we think that we can overcome fear by constantly planning out every potential what if scenario. Now, don't get me wrong, planning is good, but action is so much better. And as your business grows, you face new challenges and possibly new fears, which is why the key is in learning how to navigate it rather than letting it stop you. So, why do we feel this way? Let's break it down. First of all, we tie our self-worth to success, making failure feel personal. One of the things that I tell my clients is that the lack of sales is not a personal rejection. And then we see successful entrepreneurs and we feel like we'll never measure up. It's important to remember that you cannot compare yourself with others because you don't know their journey, you don't know their situation. And most times you're not comparing like for like because you're likely comparing your beginning with their middle. And then what of perfectionism? We think that we need to have all the answers. We need to know all the answers before we start, which holds us back. I'll quickly point out that excellence is very different from perfectionism, because perfectionism isn't worth it because it slows us down. And then there's the lack of experience, thinking that we're not qualified enough, even when we are. All right, let's talk about solutions. How do we move past fear and imposter syndrome when it comes to our business or personal development? Now, here's what's helped me and helped many others I know. It's important that we reframe fear as growth. That feeling of fear could be proof that you're pushing past your comfort zone. So instead of resisting it, acknowledge it and use that feeling of fear as a fuel to move forward. Take imperfect action. Waiting for perfection is just procrastination in disguise, and it actually hinders your productivity. So start before you're ready and figure things out along the way. It's important to celebrate small wins. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. And so acknowledge it and give yourself credit. Shift your mindset. Shift your mindset from why me to why not me. As my mother used to say, they don't have two heads, which is an African mother's way of saying, if others have done it, so can you. And what's the difference between that? The difference is that if others have done it, they've believed in themselves and they've taken action, so you can do it. And then find a support system. Entrepreneurship can be lonely, it can feel lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. Surround yourself with mentors, with business communities, people who can uplift you, and then join my On the Go membership accountability group, which is for entrepreneurs like you who want to grow their business and increase sales. And it's important to remind yourself that no one has it all figured out. Even the most successful entrepreneurs started somewhere and they didn't have all the answers. Growth comes from taking action, learning, and adjusting along the way. And then detach from outcomes. A lot of fear comes from worrying about results. So instead of obsessing over success or failure, focus on the process. Get the reps in, as I like to say. Show up, do the work, and trust the journey. Also, you can use fear as an indicator. Often, the thing we fear most is the thing that we're meant to do. Because if something scares you, but it excites you at the same time, it may be that you're on the right path. Let's go a little bit deeper. I want to share some practical exercises that will help you move past fear and imposter syndrome in a real, tangible way. I want you to write down your biggest fear, then list the worst case scenario. Next, I want you to write the best case scenario. By doing this, you often realize that the worst case scenario isn't as bad as you think. Okay, now, instead of saying, I'm trying to be an entrepreneur, I want you to start saying, I am an entrepreneur. As a Christian, I believe in the Bible, which says life and death are in the power of the tongue, which really means that words shape beliefs. Own your identity and change the things that you say. Every time fear shows up, I want you to write it down, then challenge it. Ask yourself, is this fear based on fact or assumption? Has fear actually protected me, or is it only holding me back? As a Christian, I counter every thought of fear with a Bible verse. For example, when I have thoughts of fear about making the wrong decision on an important issue, I've quoted the scripture in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6, and I've personalized it by saying, I trust in the Lord with all my heart, and I lean not on my own understanding. And in all my ways, I acknowledge God, and He directs my path. And then I believe that God directs my path, and I look at the options available to me and I choose the option that gives me peace. Now ask yourself, if I don't take this step because of fear, where will I be in 10 years' time? Because regret is often worse than fear. Whenever you feel stuck in fear, I want you to commit to taking one small action within the next 24 hours. It could be that it's sending an email, it's making a call, or even it's writing your first blog. But just take a small step, because small steps lead to momentum. Instead of saying, what if I fail? I want you to try saying, what if I succeed beyond my wildest dreams? Change the narrative of your life. Change the narrative of your business. Now, here's what I've learned. The way we talk to ourselves matters. Self-doubt is a learned habit, but so is self-belief. So every time you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, I want you to replace it by saying, I am capable, I am learning, and I am growing. And the more you practice positive talk, the more you practice, positive self-talk, the more confident that you become. I believe this so much because in my late teens and early 20s, I had terrible spots. I thought I was ugly. I didn't like looking at myself in the mirror, and I avoided looking at people. And basically, I wasn't confident at all. And then I heard someone somewhere talk about the importance of self-talk, and afterwards, every day, I would tell myself how beautiful I was. I would look at myself in the mirror and tell myself how beautiful I was, how confident I was, how articulate I was. And I kept saying this every day. And the more I said it, the more I believed it. And over time, no one could tell me I wasn't what I said I was. Guys, life and death are in the power of your tongue. Change the things you say. Another powerful tool, visualization. Close your eyes and picture yourself thriving in your business. Imagine the impact that you're making. Whilst you're visualizing, I want you to imagine the impact that you're making. I want you to imagine the people that you're helping, the success that you're creating. The thing is, your brain doesn't know the difference between real or imagined experiences. So it's important to make your success feel real. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Now I want to hear from you. What fears or doubts are holding you back? I want you to drop a comment below or DM me on Instagram, the link of which is below, and let's have a chat. Look, you're not alone on this journey, and I truly believe in your potential. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Real Talk episodes. And remember, fear is just excitement without breath. So take a deep breath and go build that dream. You've got this. And I'll be here cheering you on every step of the way. Until next time, stay bold, stay resilient, and keep chasing your vision. Bye.